Okay. Oh, I better put my glasses on, I better not make a mess of this. Afternoon, people. David will be joining us shortly. Here he comes.
Hello. Hey, first time, brilliant.
Fluke, bloody fluke.
Don't you touch that phone.
Was sometimes plugging in the power outlet.
Right, okay. So, everybody, welcome to the Two Davies Show. Yeah, this time we'd like to have a wee discussion over tax. What's that about? And everything around about it. All right. So
Exciting today.
this will have you sleep inside 2 minutes if we go the wrong way. However, why do we pay tax? It's very simple. Police, fire, ambulance, NHS, armed services, education, the whole rake of things wouldn't exist without us paying tax, all right? And tax is an overall burden that the government shares amongst us. So if somebody doesn't pay up, that means we all have to pay that wee bit more, right? So therefore, when you're talking to the big corporations that have tax havens and they say, oh no, we're paying our profits, the tax for our profits in the British Virgin Islands or wherever, then what happens is we all have to stump up a wee bit more to cover for their not paying. That's why it's rather nasty, right? David, do you want to come in?
Well,
You're set there.
Right. When these big corporations use the tax loopholes, notify tax on profits made here, then of course we do all collectively have to pay more tax. That's absolutely correct. And what taxation's about is running public services. There's different types of tax. We have centralised government tax, we have devolved taxes, and we have local authority taxes. So it's quite a complicated thing, tax, but it is necessary. And that's the main point, is it's necessary that we all pay tax. And when we say we all pay tax, before we move on, I mean everybody. Even those who don't earn a wage pay tax. Because as they spend into the economy, whatever they're buying will have tax on it unless it's foods and children's clothing.
Well, they've got you every way, really, right? So, going on beyond that, why we pay tax. Why is Scotland's tax system slightly different from the rest of the UK? So, you know, if you look online, you find that England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Wales have roughly got the same break points when it comes to allowances and how much tax you pay at each level, right? But Scotland's ever so slightly different. Now, before the show, I did a quick calculation on someone earning £45,000. Now, okay, that's by any standard a decent wage, a really, really good wage. But I thought I would show that because it's these people that earn that sort of level that are unionists and bringing up the argument of what we pay more tax in Scotland. Let me just explain this to you. What I worked out was that if somebody earns £45,000, they pay nothing on the first 12,570. That's the same everywhere in the UK. Okay. However, it works out that in Scotland, on £45,000, and I haven't done the calculation for national insurance, it would work out as £6,925.30 they would pay in tax. Now, if we go on beyond that, and we do the same calculation for England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, doing exactly the same calculation would be £6,485. That would be a difference of £440.30 more in Scotland. So on the face of it, they've got a point. They are paying more in Scotland. However, if you figure that out as being £8.47 per week more that they pay, right? I'm just working that out in a 52-week year, all right? You take into consideration a single medical prescription cost in England is £9.35 for a single item. So consequently, that wee bit extra tax they pay in Scotland is already covered with things like prescription charges, free university tuition, free bridge tolls. You go on and on and on, all the benefits you've got with being in Scotland. So therefore, you are not paying more tax in Scotland. What you're actually getting is you're getting more for your buck in Scotland. Anyway, Dave, sorry. No, please carry on. You want to say something?
I'm monitoring the comments, obviously, David, and I can assure you, folks, we'll get to a land tax. All right, we're not quite there. We want to talk about some of the other things in between, like the reason for Scotland's different tax bands is because we have a Scottish tax infrastructure for collecting tax, which is very important when it comes to becoming an independent country, because you need a tax infrastructure to be able to levy taxes and collect taxes. And we have that system already independently in place in Scotland, because here in Scotland we raise certain taxes by ourselves. Income tax, you have an S in front of your tax code, and land and buildings transaction tax, which is just when you sell your house or when you buy a house, right? Landfill tax, that's levied on landfill sites, and the idea is to try and cut back on the amount of rubbish that goes into the ground. Air departure tax, that's a tax on your flights. We're not going to talk about the aggregate tax, and we're not going to talk about the fact that we got 11% VAT back. But the reason why the tax system is different in Scotland is to fall firstly under the 1998 Scotland Act, and then the 2012 Scotland Act, and again in the 2016 Scotland Act, and more taxes and benefit and services were devolved to Scotland through the Smith Commission. So it's very important that we know that Scotland has its own tax infrastructure. So levying taxes and collecting taxes wouldn't be a problem in an independent Scotland. Right, over to you.
Right. The next thing I want to discuss is just what happened the last couple a week ago, whatever. Right, the windfall tax. Right. Actually, when you talk about the windfall tax, it's an extra 25% that was levied on the oil and gas producers. And at the moment, it looks like they're going to get an allowance that if they buy anything for any other operations in the North Sea or in west of Scotland, whatever, they get 91 pence in the pound back. So in actual fact, that windfall tax is whittled away the moment they buy a £3 hammer for a job that they've got to do, right? So in actual fact, Rishi Sunak has been a wee bit underhanded with that, because most of the oil and gas companies said that they would have gone ahead anyway, without an allowance, without anything.
What's interesting about the windfall tax is they're taxing the oil and gas giants and hauling it straight to the energy producers.
Yeah.
We're just the middleman.
Yeah.
We're being told that we're getting 400 quid off our bills, right? The average household get 400 quid off their bills. But basically, it's going to the energy companies. I'll not see it in my bank account. You won't see it in your bank account. It's a scam. It's a real scam. To rob Peter, pay Paul. Brilliant. So I think they're going to have to look at a windfall tax on the energy producers as well, David.
Yeah, well, you know, the big power stations, as you know, they actually they put in a bid every day for how much per megawatt they're going to produce, right? And you know, as we already discussed, that is what's forcing up the cost of electricity. right? I'm not talking about gas, I'm just talking about electricity at the moment, right? Because we used to be part of Euphemia, which was the EU's bidding system each day, and it took place at 12 midday Central European time. So wherever you were in the UK or whatever, yeah, you took it from that point as 12 o'clock CET. You put your bid in, and that then allowed all the cheap producers to effectively guide the price and bring it down, make it more stable, as it were. Whereas in the UK, what we've got is we've got the producers, the power stations, putting in silly prices for the electricity each day.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
you've got to, David, let's get back onto tax. Let's not wander into power again.
yeah,
You've got to tax these buggers appropriately. If
yes,
they're going to be profiteering, they need to be taxed appropriately. Apparently, I haven't turned on the subtitles, and um, thanks, Sylvia. I'll bear that in mind for next time. I'll put the subtitles on. Okay. Um, I do apologise for that. Rape the poor, give to the rich. That's generally what's happening, Robert.
yeah.
What else to go in comments? Off subject, we need to tear into better together lot. I saw coming, Doug. The campaign I got up and running, as I say, we were talking about tax because in an independent Scotland we're going to need to have a tax infrastructure to be able to levy and gather taxes. Right, but and we're also talking about the type of taxation something that we'd like to see, because somewhere along this 30 minutes we'll talk about a land tax
Yeah.
and why that would be better, and keeping the wealth in Scotland than what it would be in it leaving Scotland. Right, what else we got in the comments? And you're right, I do apologise, I just didn't think about it this time. I think I had the subtitles on the last time, so I do apologise. But I don't know how to put the subtitles on while the broadcast is in progress.
Would
Right,
you
so
like me to translate what David's saying?
what do you do British Sign Language, do you? But I right back onto tax. Where were we? You've got that wee
What he said there was back on to tax. Where were we? Oh dear. Uh, talking about tax and spending money and where the money goes. What about that blooming like massive heart attack down in London today that we saw or didn't see on TV? That is absolutely ridiculous. You as taxpayers, you are paying for every single penny, every hoof that hits the mall. Yes, and anything that goes on there. You're not part of that club, and you're just being rooked. Okay, so
Listen, when it comes to talking about the energy crisis and tax, the best meme I seen the other day there was a picture of Windsor Castle, and it started off with a segment that said, "Thank God I'm no paying for the electricity." Oh, don't, I would bloody are.
my family and I thank you very much for your contributions.
Everyone the tax you've got up there. We spoke about why we raise taxes. We've talked about devolved taxes, tax infrastructure. So where are we at?
Yeah, the tax infrastructure in Scotland. Well, we've got the situation whereby Kate Forbes can only do so much with the money that she's got, right? Because the taxes, as they're taken, actually go straight down to the Treasury, and we get that back in in our pocket money that we get once a year, right? Okay. However, going on beyond that, we've discussed this to death umpteen times, and I really do want to get onto it for the rest of the show, which is a land-based tax, because to be honest with you, that is the way that Scotland should be progressing. As we take our independence, the tax system, the tax code that the UK have left us with is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
We
You know,
already,
look, I've got, just let me tell you my personal situation. I've got a tiny wee company, so tiny, tiny small, right? Okay, but what I have to do is I've got to pay just about the neck end of £2,000 per year just to get an accountant down the road to work out how much I owe to the UK government each year, right? And then to add insult to injury, they put VAT on it. So, I'm paying tax on telling them how much tax I've got to pay, and then putting VAT on it, right? It is so unfair. It's so ridiculous. If we've got a land-based tax, it's then calculated on the amount of land that you occupy. You take a tape measure and you work out each side of your garden and work that out in square meters, and then they'll tell you how much per square meter you're paying tax. Then a 10-year-old with an iPhone with a calculator opened up can do the calculation for you in 5 minutes, maybe even less, right? And that's what I want. That's simple. But that then stops your big corporations from saying they've moved their profits to the British Virgin Islands, because the one thing they might be able to move the profits, but they can't move a strip of land. So therefore, they'd have to pay the tax on that area of land that they occupy, right?
and that's
And
what
obviously,
that's where you set a land use tax to go along with the land tax, because
yeah,
that way the big bloody estate owners are misusing the land in the Highlands for hunting and game shooting and things like
yeah,
that. Well, you batter on a land use and a land tax, and it gets to the point where they just can't bloody well afford that. So Scotland's tax exchequer slowly but surely takes back our land into public hands,
yeah,
because when they can't pay the bill, they'll sell.
yeah,
Well, we'll just take it back off them.
yeah.
And of course, that would discourage the sort of big, massive estates that we see up there.
Yeah,
You know,
because you figure the large percentage of Scotland's landmass is taken up by private estates,
yeah,
and it is ridiculous. It's a game that's played by the moneyed. Yeah, how much of Scotland can I own? You know, to them, it's. I assure you that to Sheikh Maktoum of Dubai, who won't allow us to buy his land, comes into Scotland and has now got a huge estate, and he just wants more, right? So as far as I'm concerned, right, if he wants it, he pays tax on it. If he doesn't want to pay tax on it, well, bye bye, right? And seriously, that's the way I feel about it. Sorry, David, carry on. You were going to say something.
I'm monitoring the comments, and the Mandy Gardner says we should invite Graham McCormack on to talk about a land tax. Well, we know the stuff that Andy Whiteman did on it as well. You
Yeah,
know, that's where you don't just have a land tax which would apply to your domestic settings. You have a land tax plus a land use tax, in order to make sure that the land is being utilised properly. As I say,
hmm,
because I mean there are vast areas of Scotland which should be habited and habitable, but
yeah,
aren't. There's
yeah,
vast swathes of Scotland which could be productive but isn't. You know, and I mean, the biggest landowner's a Danish billionaire or something like that in Scotland. You know, it's
yeah,
outrageous
yeah,
that the people don't own the land and that the land isn't utilised to the best of its abilities to sustain the people.
yeah.
And that's the real importance of a land tax and a land usage tax. The two of them
Okay,
have to go
David,
together.
David, just go on to what we were talking about before, right? Let's. You've got a pretty good take on the way we should deal with the oil and gas companies after independence to do with their licenses and
Yes,
the way we tax them and all the rest of it. Yeah,
yep. Aye, obviously. I mean, if we're well, one thing we're going to do is scrap that bloody carry on that Osborne introduced, and we will tax again per barrel coming out the ground. and we'll follow the Norwegian model on it. But the other thing we can do is the license issuer. We can say to them, right, you'll sell it to us at this price, or the lifespan of that license.
Yeah.
And then the rest you can sell on the international market at any price you bloody well want.
Yeah.
And we do the same again with the power generators as we take out the power, as we spoke about, because you set up next door to them, you're issuing the license, you tell the power generator, you'll sell it to us at this price, you take everybody else at the market, and you end up with public you end up with public owned energy providers, an energy provider, the one, the publicly owned one, because they'll just want to offload. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, is there not a case for considering the seabed as part of the land, right? And the first tax you got on them is a land-based tax, right? For the area they're in.
But once we're independent, we take the Crown Estates back and Scotland's continental shelf, then we can tax the land on the continental shelf as well. So as well as taxing per barrel that comes out the gun, we can tax them for sitting the rigs there. And we can also make sure when it comes to decommissioning, they pay for it and not the Scottish taxpayer.
Yeah.
Because a condition in the licence would be you decommission your own shit.
Yeah. Well, I would.
You actually force them to buy a bond off you to cover the cost in case they fail.
Well, as a contractor, I can tell you, I would fully expect if I had something set up somewhere, working away, and it came to the end of its life, it wouldn't be my customer that ended up taking it apart. It would be me that would be responsible for removing. So this thing of where they get an allowance for decommissioning is
the argument in 2014 was that we couldn't afford to pay for decommissioning these rigs, and I said, what are you talking about? Pay for decommissioning rigs? The feckers put them out there. The feckers can bring them back.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not personal. It's just business. That's all it is when it comes to that. And we're not in the business of being a charity and saying, all right, guys, we know that you've done all this and brought in all this oil and gas, and we're going to reward you at the end of it all by cleaning up your shite, right? No, just get it done. Get it cleaned up yourself, right? Anyway, right. So, how are we doing for time? That's 22 minutes. So just make you aware, David. That's all. All right. Anything else in the comments?
I'm replying to Stephen Anderson. Apparently, in my show earlier when I was having a pop at train drivers, I wasn't really having a pop at train drivers because it's the trade unions and the labour movement's behind the trade unions. The train drivers, they're quite right to take what they can get. I was only having a laugh, So sorry about that, Stephen. But it's that's the sort of drastic action that Maggie had to take, against certain trade unions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They say, right, we'll just fucking get rid of them, we'll just replace them. And it's a dangerous route to go down. But we're on tax, we're no on trains. So one of the conditions of a licence would be setting the taxation rate at which going out the gun. Would they have to sell it to us? And then they can do the rest, sell the rest in the international market. They're still taking conditions.
Yeah, the most important
conditions, because Norway puts very strict conditions on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course they do. But also Norway does own Statoil, which is a massive producer in its own right. So. But the point I was going to make was the most important stipulation is that you fill Scotland's bucket first at a certain price, which is fair to both businesses and householders. And then after that, as Davey says, you then can sell it in the international market for whatever you can get, right? That's the most important thing. We have to take charge. We have to make sure that we are not. It's not the tail wagging the dog. We wag the tail.
At this point in time, but you see, the really important things to take for this programme is knowing that the tax infrastructure in order to levy and collect taxes is already in place in an independent Scotland. As to a tax code, as we know, Professor Richard Murphy did a fair bit of work on that on the run-up to the last referendum, where he and some of his colleagues wrote up a tax code which would shut a lot of these loopholes, which means that offshoring your money would be more difficult anyway. The name of these Scottish trusts that are issued out of Edinburgh, which are very much the same as what's going on in London.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A fair example of that was when me and Lyle Duff went to try and find out what happened to the money for the old college in Motherwell, and it was offshore. The land was bought by an offshore company. We couldn't trace it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. It just becomes a wee shelf company in the island of Bermuda or Panama or whatever, you know, and it's like you'd have to actually go there and check the records to be able to find out what's going on and where it actually belongs or who it belongs to. And even at that, you probably still wouldn't find out who it belonged to. That's the trick.
Stephen Kelly's making a good point on well-being economy, mental health issues. The well-being economy is something that we'd set up, and the tax system would have that in mind. You know, the tax system would be fair, and we would gather more tax. We already do gather better taxes because we've got 5 bands, fairer taxes because we've got 5 bands.
Yeah.
You know, your point earlier about the 26, the average wage in Scotland is between 24 and 26,000. So the average taxpayer is paying less in Scotland, but they're in England, where they
I'll just make a small point on that, on the bands, on the different bands that Scotland has. You know, for example, it's like England has effectively got 4 bands if you include the personal allowance, right? 3 main bands. That's 12,571 up to 50,270, 20%. 50,271 to 150,000 at 40%, and above 150,000 at 45%. Whereas Scotland has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different bands. That's because what they've tried to do is make a more progressive tax system, so that if you consider the average wage in England is £39,452, as opposed to Scotland's average, which is 31,320. It means that more of those
comment here by Stephen Kelly, does the electricity still flow to England a day one of independence free of charge? There'll be an 18-month, where they're allocating 3 years for the divorce, but there'll be an 18-month negotiation period where the internal electric market, grid, things like that would stay the way they are until we negotiate taking over the infrastructure. But as National Grid's a private company at this point in time, it's not going to meet. It's it'll be a case of issuing licenses to National Grid, and it'll become the Scottish National Grid.
Which they will pay for.
Issuing licenses, we get to impose license conditions, meaning that the guy generating the electricity in the north of Scotland isn't getting charged more than the guy generating electricity in the central belt for putting his electricity into the grid. You know, and we'll tax National Grid quite as well, because let's face it, National Grid is a private company, Stephen. So that's the answer. You know, there'll be a negotiation period before we then start issuing marine licenses to the grid.
We'll give them a smart meter.
Infrastructure.
We'll provide them with a smart meter.
Hey, we better start rounding this up, folks. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it informative. Tax is the main thing to take away for your wee chat about tax today is the infrastructure's there to levy and collect taxes, which is going to be very important to allow us to continue to run our public services. And as I say, there's different types of tax. You've got local taxation, devolved taxation, and centralised taxation at the moment. But of course, the devolved bit would disappear because it'd be centralised Scottish taxation. We were in Exchequer.
Right. The final word is that when Scotland becomes independent, and I do say when, right? It's going to be incumbent on every single one of us to actually put pressure on a smaller government and a closer government to actually put a lot of these things that we are asking for into place. So that land-based tax, that's not going to happen of its own accord. It's going to have to take campaigning by a lot of us to make it happen. And if you think it's a good idea, then find out more about it and get your weight behind campaigning for it, because that's going to be hugely important after the fact. You think we are working hard before independence? You wait until after independence. We are going to be in a lather because the amount of work we're going to have to do as campaigners. Anyway, I'll give David the last word.
Quentin, you're talking about the claim of right a lot and Salvo, right? Well, Salvo is what this group's calling themselves. You want to know about the claim of right, Quentin, then what you do is you go onto the National Records of Scotland and you look up 1669, okay, and then you'll get what's on the statute books rather than all the bollocks that's flying about. As to the claim of right, it's been enshrined in Scottish law for that long. It was renewed in 79, renewed again in 2018, so the claim of right is no a big question. Now, when they talk about the Act of Salvatore, it was something that was done in the Scottish Parliament at the end of each sitting. But we can talk about that at another time because we're talking taxes, Quentin. Okay.
Anyway, thank you for coming to our wee chit chat. We'll do it again next Thursday at 4 p.m. Don't know quite what we'll talk about. I don't know. We'll probably find the weather, something like that, right? And we thank you awfully much. If you are going to share the show, please wait until it's uploaded to YouTube and then share it from YouTube, because we're trying to get the Two Davies channel to have more subscribers. So if you are going on to the YouTube channel, please press the subscribe button and subscribe to us, because we do really need to get it up above 1,000 subscribers so that we get a lot more usability from the channel. So thank you on behalf of David and myself, thank you very much, and we hope you enjoyed it.
Aye, we'll catch you later, guys, and as you know, I'll be back tomorrow to bug your nuts and upset Stephen about trains. I'll tell you what, I'm going to struggle to find news to put in that bloody report tomorrow. There's nothing but gold carriages and people with funny hats all over the bloody place. Catch you later.